Welcome to Mental Performance Unleashed with Emily Heird.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into an all-new episode of Mental Performance Unleashed with Emily Heird, a licensed psychotherapist and certified mental performance mastery coach. I'm your host, Mike Leon. Emily helps attorneys and other high-performing professionals strengthen the mental systems that drive clarity, resilience, and sustainable results. And in today's episode, we're shifting the focus from individual performance to team culture. What does it take to build an environment where focus, recovery, and excellence are a part of the system, not just the people? Emily's going to explain in just a second. Em, it's good to see you as always. Let me ask you here at the onset, because a lot of workplaces, they focus on this productivity angle and the output specifically. Rarely do they talk about the mental fatigue and the mental fitness part of this. What does a mentally fit culture look like in practice?
Hi, Mike. It's good to see you again. And that is a great question. So, a mentally fit culture is one where the people are not spending the majority of their time on just managing stress. It's a workplace where clarity, communication, and essentially nervous system health are woven into how they operate. And you're not hoping that individuals are figuring this out on their own. Practically, this looks like teams and leaders protecting time for deep work and focus instead of living in constant reaction mode. It looks like leaders normalizing and modeling recovery and not glorifying exhaustion. And it looks like setting and communicating clear expectations so that people don't have to spend precious time and energy trying to figure out what good enough looks like. It's also developing a culture and in an environment where people feel free to speak up about problems and challenges so that they can be addressed early on and prevent crises from happening. So it's essentially a whole ecosystem that is protecting people's cognitive bandwidth, their physical health, and their mental health so that they can actually perform at the level that their role demands.
And that kind of funnels into a follow-up, which is a lot of organizations. I know me, myself, I'm always saying, hey, I'm available. My phone, I'm responsive all the time. These organizations push for that, right? In terms of the responsiveness and the constant availability. How can the leaders then start shifting away from that, but not sacrifice the results that are achieved with that?
Yeah, so leaders are going to model more through their behaviors and their energetic state than their words themselves. And so we need to model and shift the expectation, like from believing that always being on and always available is something that increases output and performance to understanding that over time that actually erodes performance and decays productivity and efficiency. So what teams need more than availability is predictability. So if we think about doctors who are on call, they have to be available during that certain window of time, and they could get a page at any moment to be available, but it's a predictable window of time, and they can plan their lives around that. So leaders can move away from always being reachable to here's when we're reachable and why, and the leaders themselves also taking breaks and stepping away from work for certain periods of time. If it's an all hands on deck type situation, then clarify why and keep it to a short burst of time until that project's over or that problem has been solved. Then add in appreciation for what everyone's contributed and add in recovery time. You want to clarify priorities and on a weekly basis or even on a daily basis to reduce the pressure to respond to everything all of the time. So when teams know what matters most, then availability becomes strategic and not reactionary.
I mean, let me ask you, what are some warning signs that, leaders could kind of pick up that the team's overall mental bandwidth is running a little low?
Yeah, early warning signs are very subtle. It might mean longer decision times, mistakes more frequently on simple tasks, shorter tempers. People are a little bit more irritable, more tense in meetings, decreased creativity, and you can kind of just feel like morale is down, energy is lower. And so these are warning signals on your dashboard, and it's a yellow light that your team's mental bandwidth is starting to get maxed and it needs a reset.
Emily, let me ask you, because you just mentioned a moment ago about habits and things like that. So, how can these leaders help their teams turn, let's say, personal habits, whether it be recovery, reflection, into shared routines that kind of support the overall performance?
Yeah, so leaders can bring their routines and make them visible, make them more of a group exercise, bake them into the culture of how the organization operates. So a few ways they can do this are to start every meeting with a 30-second transition ritual or a pause where people just get anchored, they stop, they reset, they take a few deep breaths before starting the meeting. It can look like ending the week with a reflection of what went well this week, what are our wins, what needs to shift for next week. The leaders and the teams together might take those micro recovery breaks, going outside and having a chat for 5 minutes, stepping away from work, and then celebrating people who are performing well and also taking care of their health. So maybe you start one of those office challenges around steps in or workouts to kind of create a friendly competition to model and embrace protecting health and capacity.
Emily, the culture change doesn't obviously happen overnight. So, how have you seen some of these small, consistent actions make a difference? And what are some other ones that help build that sustainable, high performance habit across the entire team?
Yeah, so it's understanding that culture does not change overnight. It can take a few years for an entire organization's culture to change, but starting small with easy things, with simple things, and building on those. So, first, a clarity rhythm. So I'm going to describe 3 rhythms that you can get into. One is a clarity rhythm. So starting the day or the week with the top 1 to 3 things that really matter for my clients. I have them identify their top 3 MITs, most important tasks of the day. The second one is that the recovery rhythm. So build in those resets throughout the workday, taking a few minutes in between meetings instead of rushing from one fire to the next, taking a real lunch, a moment to breathe in that space so that your brain can recharge and get back online. And then third is a communication rhythm. So creating, especially if you're a leader and you supervise others and you supervise teams, having standing check-ins so that those are predictable and people can save their questions rather than peppering you all day with questions. But this gives them a space for your time, your energy, your feedback, and people aren't living in that constant urgency or guessing what's going on.
Emily, many professionals out there, they want to protect their team's well-being, but they worry they can be perceived as soft. We've seen some examples of this, in the news play out with CEOs lambasting some of their employees and things like that. How do you kind of help leaders frame the mental fitness in a way that it really will resonate with performance-driven environments?
Absolutely. Well, in these environments, everyone wants to win, whatever winning means in that environment, just like every sports team and every elite athlete wants to win at their sport. And so it's helping leaders understand that they're managing human physiology and human psychology. And the more that we work in tandem with our biology and our psychology, the better performance is going to be. So if you look at mental performance through the lens of strong mental fitness is faster decision making, clearer thinking, fewer mistakes, better client service, better outcomes, more consistent execution. It's actually the foundation for sustainable success in any business. No athlete says, recovery makes me soft. The athletes say, recovery keeps me winning. And no athlete has said that the mental performance side of things has really tanked my performance. They actually say the mental performance side of things has given me that edge. It is what has leveled my game up. So when leaders look at it through this lens and this framework, and that they're developing and coaching cognitive athletes, then this getting behind mental fitness starts to click.
So, Emily, we've talked a lot about the why, but in your experience, let's go to the what. What tends to happen inside these organizations that, let's say, they neglect this mental side of performance for too long?
So people might get the work done in the short term, but over time, there's going to be a breakdown in the entire system. So over time, you're going to see engagement drop, presenteeism increases, morale declines, turnover rises. Your high performers are going to leave because they are exhausted and they are feeling undervalued. Small problems can turn into big fires, and the organization really starts to depend on the heroics of a few individuals rather than setting up an entire system that's working together. And so in the long run, it's inefficient, it's expensive, and it's completely preventable.
So, Emily, for a leader that's listening to this, they want to strengthen their culture. They have no idea how to start, even though you gave them a bunch of ways to start. What's one conversation they could have with their team this week to open that door?
Yeah, so a simple conversation starter is, what's one small shift that we can make as a team that would give everyone a little more mental bandwidth? And so this opens conversation, it invites honesty, it's not blaming anyone or anything, and it gives a sign that you are trying to build a culture that values clarity, sustainability, and performance.
Thanks for the time and insights as always. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
And that's it for today's episode of Mental Performance Unleashed with Emily Heird. If you want to learn more about how Emily helps high-performing professionals strengthen their mental fitness, do me a favor, visit vantageviewcoaching.com today. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review and comment, or share the episode with someone who needs to hear it. As always, I'm Mike Leon. See everybody next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.